They say ancient megaliths were built with brute force. They tell us that armies of men with ropes, ramps, and copper chisels dragged stones weighing hundreds of tons across deserts and up mountains. But what if they are wrong? What if the true story behind structures like Baalbek or the Giza pyramids involves a technology so advanced it makes our modern cranes look like children's toys? Because if the official explanation were true, these structures wouldn't exist. Today, we are not just looking at old stones. We are exploring the startling evidence suggesting a pre-flood world harnessed the very forces of gravity, leaving behind a legacy we are only now beginning to comprehend. Prepare for a paradigm shift. Because what if the mythical giants and their impossible constructions weren't myths at all, but a record of forgotten science? What if the stories we were told are only partly true? Throughout time, powerful groups have influenced the truths we believe. Today, we aim to uncover the extraordinary secrets that could change our view of history. Let's begin by truly grasping the scale of the mystery. Because once you see the math, the official story falls apart. Think about the Trilithon at Baalbek in Lebanon. It contains 3 of the largest stone blocks ever moved by human hands, each weighing around 800 tons. To put that in perspective, that's like moving 3 fully loaded Boeing 747 airplanes. Not rolling them on wheels, lifting them, solid rock. Modern cranes, the most powerful ones we have today, would struggle to lift a single one of these blocks. Yet ancient builders not only quarried them, but transported them and placed them with breathtaking precision, high up on a mountain top. But here is where the history gets uncomfortable for mainstream academics. Why here? Why this specific mountain? If we look at the Book of Enoch, an ancient text removed from the Standard Bible, it tells a very specific story. It describes a group of beings called the Watchers. The text says, chapter 6, verse 6, they descended on Mount Hermon, which is, coincidentally, just a few miles from these massive stones at Baalbek. The text claims the Watchers taught humanity eternal secrets preserved in heaven. They didn't just teach warfare or cosmetics. The implication is that they taught the manipulation of nature itself. In Sumerian history, we see the Apkallu, the 7 sages, emerging from the waters to bring civilization. In every corner of the ancient world, the story is the same. High technology wasn't developed slowly over thousands of years. It was given, fully formed, by gods or sky people. If these beings, whatever they were, understood the fundamental laws of the universe, then what we think of as magic might actually be technical commands. Then there's Puma Punku in Bolivia. What you're about to see should not exist. The site is strewn with massive blocks of diorite and andesite, some of the hardest stones on the planet. These blocks are carved with laser-like precision, featuring intricate interlocking shapes and perfectly smooth surfaces. How could a civilization, supposedly equipped only with bronze chisels and stone hammers, achieve this level of craftsmanship? The cuts are so exact, the angles so perfect, it looks like they were machined. Look at the H blocks. They are modular. They interlock. This doesn't look like a temple built by primitive people. It looks like a factory floor that was destroyed. The logistics of moving these stones, some weighing over 100 tons, at an altitude of 13,000 feet, where the air is thin, defies all conventional explanations. And of course, there's the Great Pyramid of Giza, composed of an estimated 2.3 million stone blocks. The scale of labor, the resources required, the precision of alignment to true north, it all points to a level of engineering sophistication that seems utterly out of place for its time. Hit like if you think the textbooks are missing something, because we are about to dig deeper into the how. So let's ask the radical question. What if these builders didn't fight gravity? What if they redirected it? This brings us to the core of our theory, Antediluvian anti-gravity technology. This isn't just a wild guess. Hints of this lost knowledge are scattered throughout ancient texts and folklore from around the world. This is not proof. This is pattern recognition across cultures, materials, and physics. Ancient texts speak of words of power that made stones float as if they were weightless. Could these be garbled descriptions of a forgotten science? Perhaps a technology based on sound, resonance, and frequency. To understand how they did this, we have to look at sound. We call this field archaeoacoustics. This is where archaeology and physics collide. Modern physics is just now beginning to scratch the surface of concepts that could make this possible. We're experimenting with acoustic levitation right now, using sound waves to suspend small objects in mid-air. But what if an ancient civilization had mastered these principles on a macro scale? Consider the Hypogeum in Malta. It's a subterranean sanctuary carved from solid rock. When a male voice chants at a frequency of 110 Hz inside these chambers, the entire structure resonates. Neuroscience tells us this specific frequency switches the human brain from left hemisphere logical processing to right hemisphere creative processing. But what if it did more than just change our minds? What if it changed the stone? We see this same obsession with resonance in the Great Pyramid. The King's Chamber is essentially a massive granite sound box. It doesn't look like a tomb. It looks like a machine component. Even the Vedic texts of India describe the Vimanas, flying crafts, powered by engines that used mercury and a form of melodic propulsion. They treated sound as a source of energy. If you hit the right resonant frequency of an object, you can shatter a wine glass. But if you refine that frequency, can you make the object repel the ground? Think about it. In Tibet, there are legends of monks levitating heavy stones using a specific arrangement of drums and trumpets, creating a focused acoustic field. Imagine a device that could generate a localized field, altering the gravitational properties of an object within it, making an 800-ton block feel as light as a feather. This might sound like science fiction, but is it any more unbelievable than thousands of people dragging that same block up a mile-long ramp with ropes? We even have a modern example. The story of the Coral Castle in Florida, built by a single man, Edleed Skalnin, who claimed he knew the secret of the pyramids. He moved 20-ton blocks alone, claiming to use magnetic currents and cosmic forces. He left behind riddles in his book, Magnetic Current. He who looks at the stones sees nothing, but he who looks between the stones finds the secret. Was Edleed Skalnin the last man to remember the Antediluvian code? But if they had this power, where is the evidence of the machine? Maybe the evidence is in the destruction. Let's look at the vitrified forts of Scotland, like Dundeerdale. These are ancient stone walls that have been fused together, not cemented, melted. At many ancient sites, from Sacsayhuaman in Peru to these Scottish forts, we find vitrified stone, rock melted into glass. To melt these massive fortifications into glass requires sustained temperatures of over 1,700 degrees Celsius for days on end. That's not a wood fire. That's not a siege torch. That is industrial-grade energy. The mainstream explanation is that enemies piled brushwood against the walls and set them on fire. But have you ever tried to burn a rock? The heat dissipates too quickly. And this is where the story turns dark. This level of vitrification suggests something else entirely. It suggests a focused, high-intensity energy event. Some theorists point to the Brahmastra weapon, described in the Indian Mahabharata, a projectile charged with all the power of the universe, which shone like 10,000 suns. Or, perhaps more terrifyingly, what if the gravity technology itself failed? If these megaliths were part of a global energy grid, harnessing the Earth's magnetic field, a cataclysmic surge, like a solar flare, or a pole shift, could have short-circuited the network. The same energy used to lift the stones might have been unleashed uncontrollably, melting the citadels where the technology was housed. What if the glass we see on these stones is the scar tissue of a lost civilization's power plant blowing up? So if this incredible technology existed, where did it go? The answer lies in the global cataclysms described in ancient histories worldwide. The most famous, of course, is the Great Flood. Nearly every culture on Earth has a similar story, a tale of a world-ending deluge that wiped the slate clean. Advanced technology, especially if it depended on a complex infrastructure or a specific group of trained individuals, would be the first thing to disappear. Imagine a global event today that triggers massive earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and planetary flooding. The centers of knowledge, the libraries, the workshops, all washed away or buried under miles of sediment. The survivors would be focused on one thing: survival, agriculture, warmth, safety. The complex science of gravity manipulation would be useless in a world reduced to its most basic elements. Over generations, the true science would fade into myth. The memory of levitating stones would become tales of giants or magicians. There's also another, darker possibility, that the knowledge wasn't just lost, but deliberately suppressed. In many ancient texts, the pre-flood era is described as a time of great hubris and corruption. Perhaps the technology itself was seen as dangerous, a power that humanity wasn't meant to wield. The world was fundamentally reset, but the stones remain. What would it mean if we could reawaken this antediluvian blueprint? The implications are staggering. Rediscovering a way to control or negate gravity wouldn't just change how we build skyscrapers. It would change everything. We could build safer, larger, and more ambitious structures anywhere on the planet, or even off it, with a fraction of the energy and resources we use today. Our entire energy crisis could be solved. The power source required to manipulate gravity would likely be clean, powerful, and drawn from the very fabric of the universe, like zero-point energy. And think about travel. Space exploration would be transformed. Instead of relying on brute force rockets, we could develop craft that slip through gravitational fields, making interplanetary and even interstellar travel a realistic possibility. It would be the single greatest leap in human capability since the discovery of fire. This is why this investigation is so important. It's about more than just solving an ancient riddle. It's about unlocking our own potential. For too long, we've been told a story of slow, linear progress. But the megaliths stand as a silent testament to a different past, one of incredible highs and devastating lows. They challenge us to think bigger, to question the established paradigms, and to have the courage to explore ideas that seem impossible. The answers are not just buried in the past. They could be the key to our future. We need to look at these ancient wonders not as primitive curiosities, but as a technological inheritance waiting to be reclaimed. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the world of antediluvian technology. If you found this exploration as fascinating as we do, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the mysteries of our past. What are your thoughts? Was it sound? Was it giants? Or something we haven't even imagined yet? Let us know in the comments below. Until next time, keep questioning.